Today we're going to update our water system. So this stuff's only like a year or two old, but it's really not the right solution for what we have here for our water. We have well water, and it's pretty terrible well water. So let me tell you what we're going to get rid of and why, and then what we're going to switch to. Sneak peek, it's over here. So we're going to get rid of this traditional system. It's a water softener. We have really hard water here, which you typically put in a water softener. It's got salt pellets in here, softens the water. I don't know the chemicals, how it works. It just works. And then it runs through over here. There's a few different filters. Purifies the water, goes through, you probably can't see that one. Oh, you can see this, right here. It goes through there. That is supposed to, that's like a UV light, and it kills any bacteria. Then goes into my plumbing system. Works great. There's nothing wrong with any of this equipment. It does what it's supposed to do just fine. The problem is what it's supposed to do isn't what we need it to do. We have really hard water, but we also have really high sodium content in our water. The problem with a water softener is it gets rid of the hardness, which is awesome. It makes it so that everything soaps better, and like you can wash your clothes better, take showers better. That part is awesome, works great for that. Problem is, it uses salt, and we just put more salt into our water, so it's pretty much undrinkable. So we've been having to buy our water for a while. And we've been planning on putting in the system for a while, but the whole Corona thing has definitely sped up the process, because now not only are we buying water, but so is everybody else. And none of the stores around here ever have water, and we're stuck scavenging it from all of our friends and neighbors and stuff. So kind of sick of doing that, so we are going to put in this system. We're doing this video in partnership with US Water Systems. They make all these guys. They have all kinds of solutions. If you're interested in any type of home purification, whether it's to this level or not, they have all kinds of stuff. Definitely check them out. They've been great to work with. So what we're putting in here is a reverse osmosis system. How it works, not a clue. I just know that it's got a whole bunch of filters in it. I think it's basically just much better filters than what we have in the past. So a whole bunch of filters through it. It goes through all these filters, and it stores it in this big old tank back here, 140 gallons, because it produces water relatively slow. So in order to have enough for actual use, you have to store it, and then it just makes it all the time. So, and then this is a little bit of an upgrade. This tube right here is the same thing that this tube is here. This one's a foot long. This one's probably 3 feet long, and that's a UV filter as well, and that will kill any bacteria that may grow in the water when it's sitting in the tank, so that we can drink nice, clean, pure, fresh water. So that is what we're doing today. We are swapping this guy out in place of all this stuff. Couple things I want to talk about before we actually get the process started in terms of getting things set up and getting going. We do have a well, so one consideration to have is to make sure you have enough water pressure. I did have to turn up my well pump. This thing needs a minimum of 30 psi to run at all times, otherwise it's going to shut off. So I think they recommend, I think it's usually like a 20 psi range that you have your system at. And mine was set to like 30 to 60, I think. I don't know, don't quote me on that. Like I said in past plumbing videos, this is how I'm doing it. This is not necessarily how it should be done. So definitely check with the professionals when you need to do that. And US Water Systems provide me with all that stuff. So they will definitely help you out with that as well too. But so I just cranked it up. I think I had to add like 5 to 8 PSI on my system. It's super easy to do. There's just a little nut, at least on mine, there's just a little nut on the pressure switch. Cranked it down and we were good to go. So you can definitely YouTube that. There's lots of good resources out there for that. And then one other thing that I did that is going to help my process today a lot is I actually put in a bypass loop when I did these. This guy right here is where my water supply comes in, runs in here. These three go out to my hoses, totally unfiltered, whatever, just raw water out of the ground. And then I have this T here with a couple valves. So if you go to the right here, that's what then runs to my water softener and run all this stuff. Up here, this valve just goes straight up here, and you can see goes right over here. There's another T that comes from this guy. Ow! That totally just fell on my toe. And then goes up into my water system. So what that means I can do, that means I can shut off this valve right here, and I'm actually going to do that. Shut off this valve, which means no water is going to come out of this system into there. And then I can go over here, and I'll shut off this valve. Maybe. Clearly haven't used it much. There we go. So that one shut off. Now no water is going into any of this filter stuff, but I still want water in my house, so I can just turn this in this direction. Here we go. Now the water will flow here, in through this bypass loop, and then up and through my water system. So I won't have any purified water in my house while I'm doing this, but I will still have water so we can still go to the bathroom, which is great because we all like to go to the bathroom. So I think that's it for the intro here. I am going to put you guys on a tripod and I am going to rip out all this old stuff. Should go pretty quick, but we'll just do a time lapse of that, and then I'm also going to get some of the plumbing and stuff mocked up for the new one. And once I get that in place, I will check back in and we will talk about what I'm doing and how I'm hooking it up, and we will go from there. So I guess let the time lapse commence. Okay, well, I actually expected that process to be a lot more difficult and and actually make a lot more of a mess. So I guess that's off to a good start. Demo, super easy, wasn't a big deal. Cut a couple pipes, pull it all out. Let's get this guy put in place now. Hey, there we go, that's better. All right, so that's pretty much where they're gonna be. Yeah, this is my supply line here, and then my outlet there. Why don't I just walk you through kind of what I'm thinking for my setup for my plumbing now, and then I will make it happen, and then we'll talk about it when I install it. Okay, so like I said, this is the inlet here, and then this is the inlet on the reverse osmosis system. It's gonna go into here, and then this is the pre-filter, basically get all the garbage out of it. It goes through a whole bunch of stuff. At some point, one of these hoses, I think this one actually here, connects into the top of this tank over here. And then it's going to come back out of the bottom of that tank there, and it's going to come all the way around over here. And it's going to go in back into here. This is the repressurization pump. So this is what gives me my water pressure again inside my house. It goes through some more stuff. Actually, it doesn't go through some more stuff. It comes through here. You can kind of see this pipe here. So it comes out of this pump, comes down through here, comes into this bottom of this UV filter, comes up here. It's got to come out of here. I have this screwed in here. This doesn't actually go on there. It comes out right here, and it's going to right angle over here, whoop, and connect right in there. So that is the game plan. I think it makes the most sense. I'm going to do most of this in hard pipe, just because I think it's going to be easier, and honestly, because it's going to look better than if I do PEX. Because otherwise, with PEX, you get all these crazy like bends and stuff that the old one had. That drove me nuts. So these will be nice, tight, sharp 90s, and I'm gonna do it out of schedule 80 PVC. I probably don't need to, but just so that I'm fine with my pressure rating. So I think it's gonna make sense to do the outlet and the inlet first, probably the out actually, so it just lines up there perfectly. Do the inlet, and then I will plumb the tank in, and then we have one other little tank we have to put in too, but we will save that for after the stuff is done. So let's have at that. Does anybody know, does it matter which way a slip joint like this goes, a slip union? So basically I'm putting this in so that if I ever need to take this out or do anything on this, I can just take it out without cutting any pipe and just move it out, do whatever I gotta do. If I gotta do maintenance on it or whatever, pull it out, do my maintenance, and just put it back in and screw it back together without cutting any pipes. But does anybody know, does like the hub end go here, like this, for my outlet running this way? Or does it go this way? Or does it not really matter? I'm guessing it doesn't matter. But I think I'm going to do it this way. That seems like a good idea, right? Yeah, whatever. Okay, well that is the to and from lines mocked up. What do you think? Should I glue those and then do the tank? The tank goes right where I'm standing, by the way. Or should I do the tank first? Or does it not matter? I'm not sure. So, I gotta run a drain line yet. Let's see what I gotta do, and then maybe that'll make our decision easier. I gotta run this to the tank, which is gonna be easy because the tank's gonna be right next to it. I gotta run a drain line, and it's flexible, so who cares? I gotta run this drain line, looks exactly the same. This has to go to my sump pump over there, just to get rid of any excess water. That's one downfall of a system like this, is it does waste a little bit of water. I think it's like 1 gallon for every 4 that you make, you lose. Not the end of the world, I have a well, so I'm not super worried about that, but a little bit of a downfall, but it is what it is. So I need to run that, and then I also need to hook up another tank, but that hooks up on the other side, so that'll probably sit down there on the floor. So there's not really a whole lot of connections I gotta make over here yet. Oh, look, there's a drill bit on the floor. Probably the easiest to make all these connections now while the tank is not in my way, right? I mean, I guess I could mock it up and then just move the tank and then glue everything up at once, but I don't think it makes a difference. Let's just do the tank now, just to be safe. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I could run into something with the tank where the location of it doesn't work and I have to redo this. I hate to have to unglue this stuff, so let's do that. So we are going to do the tank first. Also, one note, this little pipe over here, I don't know if you noticed, but I took this off the old system. I didn't actually get enough of the right connections. I should have got another one of these little, let me just take it out. So this is a 3/4 PEX to 1 inch North National Pipe Thread. I think that's what it's called. NPT. I don't know. Anyway, I should have gotten 2 of these. I only got 1 because I ended up changing how I wanted to set this up. But I only got 1 of these. I should have gotten 2, so I'm gonna have to. So I have a little coupler in here to step down the threading, and then just use the old 3/4 one from the old system. So we're just gonna reuse it. Everything should be good. We'll just put a coupler in here. Should be golden. So I guess we'll see. But I should have gotten a second one of these. Didn't. But I think it's gonna be fine. Okay. So put this back in here so I don't lose it. I'm gonna put that tank in place, and we are going to work on mocking up the. Would it be considered a drain? A drain for the tank that supplies the pump here. So whatever you want to call that. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I was just checking. This is actually going to stick out in my room a little bit farther than I had hoped it would, but I don't think there's much I can do about it. I kind of hoped maybe I could just come, because the inlet's straight on the other side there, I kind of was hoping maybe I could just go straight underneath and then up, but this height is a little bit too high and it hits the bottom of that tank, so I guess we'll stick with the original plan. I am putting another slip joint on this, same reason as before, so I can get rid of it, and I'm also putting a shut-off ball valve on it so that if I need to shut off the water supply from this tank for whatever reason, if I disconnect this or whatever, my whole tank doesn't just drain on my floor in my basement, so. That wouldn't be my favorite. I am good at making a mess when I do plumbing, so any extra stop valves are much appreciated. So we'll do that. We'll do the, does it matter which way this flows? Doesn't really look like it. I'll just put it the way that I can read the words, I guess. So that'll go there, something like that. Little 3-incher. This will go here. Little 3-incher. And then we'll come all the way over to here. A couple more of these pieces. This guy will sit like right here. A little angle up. And then this guy will screw right onto here. And do something like that. Perfect. I think that'll work. Yeah, it's a little odd. I'm actually gonna lose, like, what did I figure out? Like 15 to 20 gallons, I think it was, in the bottom of this tank, because this height is so much lower than this intake. So like the water's got to be up to like here before it actually makes it up to this little guy. So that's kind of a downer, but it is what it is, I guess. I guess I gotta put the tank up on a stand. But I don't have a stand for it, so I guess we'll just lose 20 gallons of the tank. Maybe it's designed how it's supposed to work so you don't run out. No idea. Oh well. Let's mock it up. I gotta cut a couple pieces. Okay, I think that's gonna work. It's a little less attractive than I had hoped, but I don't have a better solution. Other than like totally flipping it around so you just don't see it and have this pipe run around the back of the machine. It's probably not the best for maintenance and service though, so I guess I'm just gonna go with it. I think it'll work. It's totally functional. There's like definitely nothing wrong with it. Just this pipe's kind of ugly, but it is what it is, right? It's plumbing. It's in my mechanical room. I'm the only one that's ever gonna see it, so yeah, that'll be good. I think it's time to get that glued up. It's actually lunchtime first, so I'm gonna go eat some lunch. We'll come back and we'll get this all glued up and actually hard installed, and then we can actually do the stuff that it's gonna involve a manual. Okay, well, I just had lunch and I was thinking about it, so I emailed the company, and they're like, you can build a stand if you want to for your tank so you can get all that water out of there, but it's not necessary. But the more I think about it, the more I think I want to build it. So I am going to build a platform to put this tank on. Basically it needs to be about 8 inches, I figured, to get this outlet so that it's more level like this rather than way down like this. And that'll give me to use my maximum use of my tank. Would actually be nice for when I have to drain it and stuff too, that I can get the full use out of it a little better. So we'll work the plumbing a little bit, but I'm gonna go make a platform and I will bring that back in, and then we will keep going on setting this thing up. Also, I think I'm gonna move this tank. I'm gonna swim around backwards. So sorry, US Water Systems, but your logo is gonna be up against the wall. I apologize ahead of time. Like a dream. All right, so now this platform is up. Yeah, we should be pretty close to level. The spigot's actually on the other side. I guess we could turn it on and see. See how close to level we came out. So this would go like this. Yeah, it's pretty close. Maybe could have gone just a hair higher on the platform, but I don't think an inch or two is going to make too big of a difference. So that is good. I am going to, I'm going to replumb this so this plumbing runs around the back, just so I ain't got to look at it. Yeah. There's really no other reason for it other than that. Other than I don't want to look at it. Yeah, I don't want to look at this. We'll go around the back. Okay, so everything is mocked up and good to go, I think. I moved this plumbing, let me move over and you can see it. Moved this over to the back, like we talked about. Now it comes out of the back of that tank, comes around behind the wall, goes right in here. That's all good. Now, if you look over here, now the front, ooh, there we go. Now the front looks way cleaner. So that's how we're gonna go. At this point, I think I really can hook up that plumbing. If I ever need to move anything, I got all the slip disconnect things, so I can just do it and move it. So I think we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll glue up all that plumbing, and then we will refer to the manual and get everything else figured out. So yeah, let me get all those pieces off, and we'll glue it up. So the key, I've been told, when putting on Teflon tape is to put it on in the same way that you're going to screw your fitting on, so that your tail finishes that way, so when you screw this on, it just gets tighter on there and doesn't like go backwards and bunch up. I honestly don't know if that's correct or true, or if it even makes a difference. But that is always what I have been told, and that's what I've done. So far, it's worked pretty good for me. So, why fix it if it ain't broke, right? Okay, now I need this to come out straight this way. Don't think I'm gonna be able to get another turn out of that one. Should I try it? I don't want to get stuck halfway and have to take it all apart and redo it, because once you go backwards, I'm pretty sure you got to redo that tape. I feel like that's tight enough, but if it's not, it would be a big pain to have. This is the one that would be a really big pain to have to redo. So let's see if we can get it tighter. Oh yeah, look at that. A little leverage. We're all about it. Okay, that one's good. Can flip this tank back around. Actually, I'm gonna move this tank. I'm gonna move this tank out of the way because we have to do some connections on the side of the thing over here. So let's do that first, and then we'll hook up the tank the rest of the way. Okay, so this is the connection I was talking about. This guy's got a screw in here, like so, and then this thing will connect into there. So I can just take this apart, this slip union, can take that apart right now. And we can screw this piece in, this guy in. We gotta put some Teflon tape, both of those pieces like we did in the last one. Screw it in. It's also always a good idea when you have a plastic hub. So, for instance, this here was going into a plastic female socket and the male going in there. It's a good idea when you're doing that, when you're doing this way, to do plastic on the inside. If that were a metal one that I was going to screw in, so for instance here, this piece here is metal, and it's the male piece going into the female piece. Because the metal is harder, that's kind of dirty, there's a possibility for you to over tighten it and to crack this piece. So when you're going into something like that, you'd always want to use plastic on this end. I am not, because I couldn't get a plastic connector that I liked that would work. But I'm going into a very disposable piece, which is this one, versus a much less disposable piece, which is this filter housing. So I did plastic to plastic into that. I'm going plastic into metal into plastic here. So if this cracks, it's gonna suck, but it's really not that big of a deal to fix. So just a little tip there. Okay, moment of truth. I really don't want to get this wrong because I don't have enough fittings if I need to redo it. It's a terrible reason, right? Okay. So we gotta cut this guy. Oh, that is a terrible line. A scooper squiggly line, but that's where we gotta cut it. Okay, JK on that mark. We're gonna do the other side first. This one's a little less picky in that I have more room side to side. I don't have a lot of room side to side on the other side. That one's gonna be more vertically lined up. Not because it really matters, but because I want it to look good. So we're gonna do the other side first. Okay, this is said other side. This is the outlet side. Which way is this going? This way. So this is the one that's got to line up more vertically straight than horizontally. So we're going to do this one first. Hopefully everything looks nice and pretty. So we'll put this guy in here.
It'd be kind of nice if you could do plumbing like you do carb repair, where you have a torque wrench. Then you know, yep, that's tight enough. Rather than just be like a total feel thing of like, yeah, that feels like it's all the way on there, but not going to break anything. So if anybody's got a plumbing torque wrench, let me know, because I would totally be interested in one, if it even were a thing. Okay, so this guy goes here now. Shoot, I think all my couplings for this are once again in the barn, but that's okay. Make sure our gasket's still in there and good and clean. Surface is good. Okay. Okay, that is good. So how much do I care? Should I go get a level for this and make sure it's like perfect, or should we just eyeball it?
I'd say we just eyeball it.
That looks pretty good to me as it is. Okay, so this is where we're going to tie the old back into the new. I have a coupling here. That's going to have to be recut because this is a horrible cut up here. Cut that a little flatter. We'll probably crimp that on, and then we can cut this end, crimp that. We're just connecting this into 3/4 inch packs. Not sure if I talked about that earlier or not. I'm not sure that cut was much better than the old one, but it is what it is. And I kind of bent the pecs a little bit. Come on, friend. There we go. Okay. I think I've talked about these connectors before, but these are Vega press connectors or Proflow. I'm not really sure what they're called actually. But these basically have a torque wrench built in. You can't really do these wrong. As long as you can see the white through the holes on the sides, you're good to go. And I can see the white through the holes on the sides. You squeeze it until it stops squeezing, and you're good to go. Sold. Okay, that one's good. And we'll mark this guy. If I can get my other lines out of the way. Still looks pretty level. You gotta cut it out there. Doesn't need to be super precise because we do have some play. I think my cutters are getting a little dull here. That's not good. Yeah, that made a terrible cut. That's a little better. And there we go. That one is done. You have to put some clamp. I'll put some clamps or something on the wall here to hold this nice and tight. This pipe's a little curvy from its previous life, but okay. So let's see here. I can actually pull this whole system this way just a little bit. So it's a good thing we did this one first, so we can get these nice and perfectly straight without using a level because I'm not that dedicated. Cool. Okay, this side is 100% connected and done until we can leak test it. So we are good to go. We will go back to that first side now. Okay, we're back onto the first side. Now we can make this cut. I think that mark's actually going to have to move a little bit. Yep. Moved a couple of inches actually. Now we got to cut it over there. Screw this guy. I'd like this to come in here a little bit straighter if I could. Move some stuff around. Need one more hand. How about a knee? There we go. Perfect. Tighten this guy up. Okay, the inlet side is good to go now too. Remove this. Yeah, well, you are currently in the way of the pipe, so I will move you. We can put the tank in and hook her up. Her? Him? I don't know. What gender do you think a tank is? A her or a him? I think I'm actually going to run this drain hose, now that I'm thinking about it. It'll be a lot easier without that big old tank in the way. So, pretty sure this one is product and this one is waste. Yep, okay. So, I'm going to cut this. Okay, that is run good enough. Now we can put the tank in. I really made this job way harder for myself by putting that spout in the back. Because now I gotta put a glue joint in there. It's gonna be kind of a pain. But it is what it is, right? Yeah. All right, my apologies on that one. There was pretty much no way I was gonna be able to show you that one hooked up, but all of our water lines are hooked up. We have our supply line coming into the system. We have the outlet line going into my plumbing for the house, and then we have the line going from the tank to the back to the repressurization pump and stuff. So I think now we got to put the float switch and connect the lines into the tank so we can get water from the system into the tank. I think that's the next step. I will get out the manual and I will double check that. Okay, no idea if you can see this or not. Oh, it says my battery's dead. I just charged it. That's crappy. Anyway, this is what we got to do. So this is the system. This is the line going into the tank. This is the float switch we have to install in the tank as well. So that is next step. Install float switch and install supply line. I think they're in a box over here. Let me go find them. Okay, well, I found them. It's down there. How do you think I get that out? How in the world did I get that out of there? That's like, I don't know. It's up to like my shoulders. I should have gotten that out before I hooked everything up. Would have been a great idea. Got it. Got some dust in my tank now. You think that's a big deal? Maybe I should vacuum that out. Good as new. Okay, now this float switch goes in there. It comes out of that tall hole, and then the other supply line goes in the little hole. See? Little hole, tall hole. See if we can make it work. Okay. The instructions don't say anywhere how far down this switch needs to be, the float switch. I don't really know how much leash to give it. I guess we don't want it to overflow, right? So let's see here. If it's hanging like this and it floats up, it shuts off at about there. So I guess that's the angle we want. I guess maybe if we just make it so it touches like this, it'll never get totally full. Like if it's, that'll work. Yeah, that'll totally work. Okay, so we gotta run this line through. I don't really want to accidentally drop this back in there again. We managed to get it out the first time, but Oh, this cord is way longer than we need it to be. That's not gonna work. We gotta go through here first. There we go. Through here. Now there's no Teflon tape or anything on these because water theoretically will never get to them. So if water gets up this high, we got other problems, friends. Okay, now 75 feet of cord they gave me. Could put this tank outside in the garage if I wanted to. Probably not a good idea in Michigan. It would be fun in the summer, but not so great in the winter. Okay, something like that. I know you can't see this, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that'll work. Something right in there. So if we tighten this down, it should theoretically hold that. Yeah, look at that. Love when a plan comes together. Okay, we'll make the electric connection in there in a minute. We can probably run this supply line first though. Get this broom out of the way. Okay, supply line's gotta go in that hole right there. Probably make it a little longer than it's gotta be, don't you think? We can always adjust it if we need to. Cut it right about here. I hate for it to get too short. Hopefully that was not too short. Okay, something like that. No, doesn't hang down at all. Okay, perfect. It's a little longer than we needed it, but I think it'll be good. Okay, so this is good. We can put the top back on here so we don't drop any more dust in there. Okay, that's good to go. Now we gotta hook up that electrical connection. There's some wires somewhere in there. Found them. Probably can't see this, but that says tank fill right there on that little label. So these two little tiny wires gotta connect over to that other guy over there. And once again, this cord is way longer than we need it to be. They definitely gave plenty of space to install this thing wherever you want to. Let me see if I can figure out how to, let me get all these cords unzip tied first so they don't look so messy. And we can figure out how to route them to make them look pretty. Okay, so we are gonna make this connection back here somewhere. I'm gonna leave myself enough slack that I was gonna use the end of this one. That if I ever needed to, I can adjust that float switch, but not too much that it's a total waste of space. So I think this will be good right here. The manual also said that this is just a round, this needs to basically just complete a circuit. So it doesn't matter what we use for each of the wires, or how we connect them, because on this side there is a black and a red. Doesn't matter which one we connect to which, just has to be connected. And on here we have 3 wires. We only need to use the blue and the black wire. Don't know what the red one's for, but we don't need it. So I'm just going to cut it off back here. And I am going to use some inline type connectors. I'm going to do the black one a little longer than the blue one. Cut that off. Strip these guys back a bit. Okay, so I've got some of these end-to-end connectors. I've only ever really used these in car electronics before, but this seems like a perfect application for them. Other than that, get that in there good. Get that one in there good. Get the wire that I'm standing on. Okay, not the prettiest job in the world because I should have cut these wires back a little farther, but it'll work. Okay, so float switch is all set to go. This tank is done, actually. I think we're getting pretty close. I have to do some pre-treatment, so there's an anti-scalant because I have such hard water that we have to run in here. But I can't really run that until after we get this guy running because we got to fill it up with the water that we need. But we can probably get the plumb. I'm talking really fast. We can get the plumbing hooked up for that now probably, and then we can just worry about actually running it in a little bit. So let me grab the manual again. We'll see what we actually do for that. Okay, so like I said, I gotta install an anti-scalant pump, which basically keeps everything from scaling, because it's so hard. I gotta pull this plug out, because this isn't a thing that everybody has to install, just because of the water that I have. So pull this plug out, and then this is where the inlet for that goes. There's another pump. There's like a little 15-gallon tank. I have to mix water with some chemicals. And then that has a pump that pumps the water into here. What would be sweet is if I could just hook the chemical bottle right to this thing, skip that whole other tank and pump, and just have it automatically dose it. That'd be perfect. And when it runs out, I just get it. Just get a new tank. But it's not how it works. So that's what we'll do. So this little guy goes in here, and then the line from the other pump goes right into the side here, and that other pump will actually end up sitting right where you're sitting right now. This is kind of thin plastic, so I'm just going to kind of go snug on this. Really don't want to break it, and you can always tighten it up more if it leaks. Okay, there we go. So now we got to set that other tank. Let me grab that and we'll be right back. Okay, so this is the pump for this little guy, this little anti-scalant tank. So we got to mount this bracket on the wall so we can go up there. So all right, that is in there. This guy mounts in there like so. That's pretty straightforward. Straight enough. This guy here, the tank does not have a hole in it for the tube to go in. So you gotta have a tube coming out of the tank into here, and then out of here into there. So I had to drill a hole in the top of the tank to run this hose through. Okay, so there's that. I do have to put, this is like a weighted filter-y thing on it, so I gotta stick this on the end. It looks like it just jams in there. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, I think that's all we gotta do. Right down, so that's close to the bottom. Now, which side do you think is the in, and which do you think is the out? Okay, so I can't actually find anywhere where it says specifically which one's the in and which one's the out. But this little picture here, which doesn't look super accurate, but it's all I got. The one on the left says that it's the suction or the in line, and the one on the, this is the Spanish side. The Okay, this one, the one closest to the wall for me, the one on the left, is the in line, and the discharge line is the one closest to me or farthest away from the wall. So, we should be able to handle that. So this is long enough. We'll cut it right about here. Make it a little longer than we need it. Okay, and it comes with the connections that we need. So that goes over. Oh, I gotta put this on first. There's just a little pressure connection here. And it says to just finger tighten. Don't use any tools or anything. So that's what we'll do. We'll make our connection over here on the actual machine on this end. Finger tighten that one. Get this to sit over here a little farther. Okay. Give this line a little bit of slack right about here. Looks like to be the trick. I have enough hose or tube to do this job about 4 times. Look how much I got left. Yeah, look at that. Hook this on here. Jam it in there. Finger tighten it. Okay, that's good. Okay, so that is it now for this system. This will hook into this pump right here, this power, and then it'll be controlled by the controller on the system. But I do not have water for this yet. You need to use clean filtered water to get this primed and ready to go. I ain't got none, so I gotta run the RO system. You get to have a minimum of 5 gallons to start, so I will get 5 gallons running, get this thing filled up, and then we can mix our stuff for that. Not super important right now though, but now I think we're at the point where we can plug stuff in. Probably not actually plug it in yet. Probably turn on some of our water connections, make sure we don't have any leaks, at least in the stuff that's gonna get pressurized right now, and go from there. So let me get you off the tripod, and we will turn on some water and see what happens. I forgot one important step. I never put the UV filter in here, so we can do that. I guess it doesn't really matter if we do that. Oh, we probably gotta do that before we put the water in it. So let's hook up that UV filter, or that what is that, UV light? It's not really a filter, but we'll do that in a second. Okay, here we go. This is kind of a fragile step apparently. I think this is the right piece. There should be a quartz sleeve, yep. I have to refrain from touching it with my hands. Then I have to slide it down in there. Not sure how I'm going to manage that. Said you're supposed to use cotton gloves. Cotton gloves not supplied. I don't know about you, but I do not have cotton gloves laying around my house. So, we're going to do it this way. Okay, so we're just going to try and hold on to the packaging, slide it down there without breaking it. Be ideal. Trying to bang it around too much. Okay, well that's pretty painless. Now there should be, maybe that's what this thing is for, something that screws in there to hold it on. Not really sure. This definitely does not have any threaded parts on it. I have no idea what this is for. So it looks like a hose should go through it for something. No idea what this piece is for. It's got sand in it though. It says to align this kind of in the middle, and then there's springs down there apparently that hold it in place. So, yeah, there we go. Look at that. Drops right in there, no big deal. Now we need to put this O-ring on there until it's tight up against the housing here. O-ring goes on. Beautiful, sits right in the little channel. And then we hand tighten this gland nut over the quartz sleeve onto the threaded end of the reactor. It is a positive stop to prevent over tightening. So basically tighten it until it stops. Okay, done. What's next? Okay, stainless steel spring. good to go. I think at this point we can actually leak test it. So let's actually do that before we put it all together. So I guess this is kind of like the moment of truth, right? I'm just going to turn on water so it would fill here and around to the pump. It's actually backwards. Typically the water flow through this way. We're going to flow it through backwards, but that's all right. So I guess, wish me luck. I was going the wrong way. So far so good. I don't see any water on the floor or anything. That's a good sign. All the fittings feel dry. Okay. So far so good. Wow, this thing takes a lot of water to fill up. There we go. Look at that. All our fittings are nice and dry. Nothing is leaking. Okay, so here is the UV lamp that we have to install. Once again, it says do not touch it. So we won't. We'll do our best not to anyway. Okay, there you go, sitting on that spring. And we take this end, this guy here. How can I make this look pretty? There's enough room. Could probably actually go through in there and come out over here. Let's do that. Put a little, oh shoot, maybe there's enough room. Ugh, there we go. A little grommet in there for us. Run that through there. So we'll come around the side like this. We will make the connection here on the top. Okay, that's in there. And then this just has a little twist lock function to it. Push it down, twister. Perfect. Now, I don't have a screwdriver on me, so let me grab a screwdriver and we'll put on the ground nut there. Okay, screwdriver. Little tip I got from the installer yesterday when I was talking to him on the phone. The screw comes pre-screwed in here. He recommends backing it all the way out, or mostly the way out. Otherwise, it'll totally twist up this wire when you're screwed in. So I'll back it out. There we go. All right, so I'm not really sure how well you can see it, but that little gray, not really little, but there's a huge filter over there that's got to come out that to fill with water. So I'm gonna go on the other side and do that. Alright, that wasn't a terrible job. Would have been a lot easier if I left myself more room between my tank and my system here, but it is what it is. So I think now we are ready to fire her up. Alright, now we can hook up or turn on the other side of the water and make sure that doesn't leak. Well, that's a good sign. Okay, I think we're good. It's a little hard to tell if we're leak free or not because there's so much water on the ground. But I don't hear any water flowing, and I don't see anything actively dripping. So that's all good. Dry this off a little bit here a second. And now we can start with the actual startup process. We can plug her in. Okay, we are dry. I'm not gonna plug in the UV filter or the pump yet. Specifically can't plug in the pump yet, but because we're not doing that, we're not gonna use the UV filter yet anyway. So what we need to do now is get it to run for 5 or 10 minutes, get all the air bubbles out, and then we need to check to make sure our pressure gauges are good. And then we need to start collecting some water to fill up our anti-scalant tank. So we're gonna let it run for a little bit. We need like 15 gallons to get that going. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna fire it up now and let's see what happens. Okay, so it says off. On. Okay, we're running. Inlet pressure here, you can't really see that, but that is at like 42, 44 PSI, so that's good. We're getting bubbles out down here. I think we might have too many bubbles on it, it's just blinking at us, so let's shut it off. Turn it back on again. That sounds better. Oh, still have bubbles. It said in the manual that we probably have to do it a bunch of times, so I actually just got some work I have to do, so I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Little podcasting trouble, but we got it fixed up. So we're gonna turn this off, turn it back on again, and eventually we should get to the point where all the air bubbles are out and it just runs. So let's see what happens. Okay, I think we are doing good. I hear water going into the tank, so that's a fantastic sign. We need to let it run, like I said before, until we get like 15 or 20 gallons, so I can get my anti-scalant tank going. If you can hear me, it's kind of loud in here. It's a good thing this is in our mechanical room and not in our living room. So hopefully I don't drop the camera in here. Look at that! Nice stream of water coming out of there. I really should get a cup and drink it and see what it tastes like. Okay, well while this is running, we can get some other adjustments going too. My system's supposed to run at 2.78 gallons per minute and that's based on how many bathrooms and whatnot I have. So this meter right here shows that. They call this a stainless steel meniscus. I feel like I'm back in biology class, but this is currently running at, I don't know, 1.7-ish. So I'm gonna be all the way up here. So we do that by adjusting the concentrate valve, which is just one of these guys up here. I don't know which one, I'll have to look it up. And the pressure switch on the actual pump. It says not to exceed 150 PSI. We are currently running at 100 PSI. So we're gonna start with adjusting that pump to get closer to 150, and then we can kind of fine tune it from there. So that guy is right here. I think I just opened this up a little bit. We'll see if that made any difference. Yep. So now we're up to like 130, 130 on that. And our flow rate is up to 2.5. So we're getting close. So I'll turn in another little, maybe quarter of a turn, not even, 1/16. Getting closer, 2.5. Okay, that didn't really make a whole lot of difference. Bump the pressure up a little bit. We're running about just over 2.5 now, so we're getting close. Now I gotta make a little bigger turns, I think. That's probably 2.6, 2.7. What was the number? 2.78. I think we could probably go up a little bit more in the pressure. We're not quite to 150 yet, so that's good. Pushing 150 there. I think we could go a little more. Okay, I'd say that looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me see if I can get this in focus for you. Maybe not. Okay, so this is the 3 line right here. This is 2.5, that's 2. So we're like right in the middle of there. I'd say we are dead on. So I'm gonna let this keep filling up for a little bit. Where the water level's up to here. So we're getting there. I can probably actually drain some of it to put in our other pump here in a minute, but we will keep letting it fill up for a little bit. Okay, so here we go. Our goal, this is the waste one here, and this is the product one. Our goal is to have the product one around 2.8 if possible, and to have our waste one around 3. So I was before just messing with the product one to get that where we wanted it to, but if we close down the waste one, that actually makes the product one go up as well. So we're going to close down the waste one, get it closer, and kind of fine-tune adjust it here. So I'm just going to close down the waste valve, so we're sending less water down there. So that's right about 3 there. And then if we look over here, if it'll focus on that for us, not quite. Okay, so there you go. That's running, I don't know, pretty close to 2.8 or so like we're supposed to. And then our pressure on the system here is about 140. So we're actually under pressure, but we are also hitting our recommended gallons per minute on that. So we are pretty much good to go. That was pretty stinking easy. So yeah, for now, I think we're just gonna let it keep filling up a little bit. I have to finish filling up our anti-scalant tank over here. That guy we gotta finish filling up so we can get anti-scaled water, and then we can actually run it through our system. So we're getting close. It looks like we found another air bubble or something in there to shut off by itself, but that's fine because we need it off right now anyway, because we are going to, I'm actually going to turn it off. Now I think we have enough water to fill up our anti-scalant tank, so we're going to do that. I should have put in, and I thought about this after I went to the hardware store, I should have put in like a hose connection so I can just get a little out and then close it again. I didn't do that. So what we're going to do is use the slip valve, or the slip joint that I put in over there. We're just going to disconnect that and kind of use that, and then along with the ball valve that I already have. It's going to be a little bit of a pain, but I think we can get it to work. So I am going to disconnect some stuff, and we'll get some water out. We need about 15 gallons to fill up that tank. So basically you just got to use this spigot to fill up that bucket as much as you can, and let me know when.
I can't really get it in there.
I know, it's going to be not ideal.
Okay, I think I got it.
This is the only time we have to do it, so. There's something coming out?
No. No, there's.
Let me know when we're close.
To what?
To being too full so I can cut it off.
Floaties are okay?
Yeah. This whole guy's got to go in there. Right? 32 ounces per entire 15 gallons. Okay. All right, system is running great. I got the anti-scalant tank filled up. I just dumped in the chemicals, fired it up. The pump's running, doing its thing. Nothing we had to do there. We're basically now ready to fire up the UV filter and then the pump to actually pump the water in our house so we can use it. So it's recommended that the system itself and then that pump and UV thing run on 2 separate circuits. I didn't get my second one put in yet because I didn't know exactly where I wanted my plug and whatnot. So for now, we're going to handle that over an extension cord. So I'm going to plug that in and we'll get things going. Okay, we are good. The lamp here is on. It says it's detecting. You guys probably want to see that, I'm sure, right? So right here, I don't know if you can actually be able to see that or not. Not detected. Detecting. Not detected. Well, that's not a good sign. No Wi-Fi. We don't have Wi-Fi hookup. Don't have a remote alarm hookup either. Lamp optimization. I finally finished. That lamp is ready to go. We have 355 days left on our bulb life. Woohoo! Okay, everything is good to go. I think what we can do now is open up our system to go back into the system. And then we can close off our bypass loop here. And now, if we run some water, we should be on this system. So let me go turn on a faucet. Okay, so I got a faucet on. We should be pulling water out of here now. I can't tell if this pump is running or not. I'm not really sure how to tell that. Okay, I just had to turn the pump on. Not sure if you can see a little light or not, but the green light's on, just had to turn it on. It's definitely running now. Okay, well, I called their tech support again, and it turns out I have to manually prime the pump. I didn't see it in the manual. Could have been in the manual. May have just missed it. I have to manually prime the main pump here. So what that entails is there is a little... Let me flip my screen around so I can see what you're seeing. There is a little guy right there. Come on, focus, focus. Okay, there we go. That little screw there, I gotta pull that out, and I gotta dump like a gallon of water in here to prime it. So let's do that. Okay, let's give that a go. Let me turn the water back on, and then we'll turn the power back on. We'll see what happens. Oh, I hear water moving now. Yeah, that sounds way better. Let's go see what the sink looks like. Oh, yeah, boys. We got water. Get the air out of the lines there, but we are good to go. Okay, so now that the system is running at full capacity, everything's working like it should be. Everything is calibrated and working, whatever. We're pretty much done. We've been using the water here for a few minutes in the house. Everything's been working great, no problems. There's one more thing they recommend doing before wrapping up the total install, and that is running a pH test on the system. So I just got a cheap test pack. I think it was like $8 or $9 from our local hardware store, and I am going to quick run a test on it. Between 6.5 and 8.5 is a recommended pH level for the water. So I'm going to go ahead and manually start the system by telling it that the tank is empty by lifting up the float switch. There we go, it's kicking on. They recommend doing it from the inlet right here. So I'll let it run for a few seconds here, and I'll just take a little sample of the water out of the inlet tube here, let it kind of fire up and get flushed out of anything in there. Okay, so I got a full tube of water here. Let's open this guy up. And we really care the most about the pH, which is the middle one. So I'll just dip this whole thing in there. 1, 2 seconds it said. Wipe it off and put it in here. Looks like we're somewhere between a 6 and a 7. So, right there. There you go, somewhere between a 6 and a 7.
which is exactly where we want to be. So I think we're good to go with that. I'll probably actually get a full water test just because I'm curious. Have them retest my inlet water and then retest my filtered water, just because I'm curious how it works out. So that's pretty much it. Let me get the top back on here, and then we can talk a little bit more about what a system like this is going to take to run now that it's installed. That wraps up the install of this reverse osmosis system. This was a US Water Systems Defender HD 4000. That was based off of what I needed. It also has permeate backflow, if anybody cares. Basically just keeps things cleaner, runs longer longevity on the membranes and stuff. So that's my system. I will definitely should have linked to it down below. I will say the guys at US Water Systems were great to work with. This wasn't a difficult project, but there's definitely some things that I probably wouldn't have been able to figure out on my own. Things like that pressure switch wasn't working right. I needed help with that for sure. I had a couple other questions. Priming that pump, I mean, I guess it's pretty common, but I didn't realize I had to do that. So I will say that their support was fantastic, and anybody with just a little bit of know-how and willingness to try could totally get one of these things installed yourself, as long as you block out the time and are willing to put in the effort for it. In terms of how long it took me to do it, it probably took me half a day, 4 or 5 hours or so to physically install it, do all the plumbing, the connections, everything like that. And then probably about the same, probably 3 to 4 hours to actually get it set up, do a little bit of the troubleshooting I had to do, and get the system fully running and functional. Now, you may not have to do some of the troubleshooting I did. Some of my stuff was kind of lost, a little bit damaged in shipping. Wasn't a big deal, but I did have to fix it. It wasn't a big deal, like I said, but it is what it is. So, wasn't too big of a deal. So, all in, probably 8 to 9, 10 hours, something like that, to get the full system installed, up and running, and ready to go. So, what does it mean now going forward? Well, I got some information. So, in terms of maintenance and running a system like this, I have to keep my anti-scalant tank full. That 15 gallons of anti-scalant there, I do have prices, and I don't have the right page open on my phone. So for 15 gallons, it cost me about $50 worth of whatever their chemical is. HyperGuard plus 7000 RO scale inhibitor, 32 ounces to run that. I honestly have no idea how long that's going to take, but given how slowly it pumps out, I filled up this whole how many gallons do we have? Oh, we got like 113 gallons, 114 gallons right now. And I honestly can't see that it took any water out of that little anti-scalant tank, so I'm guessing that thing's going to run for a while before I actually have to refill it and fully refill it. So, minor expense. The pre-filter, that's the one that's over here that I had problems that was leaking with the O-ring, the O-ring that was missing. I have to change that once a year, or if it gets filled up quicker than that. Cost on that little guy, where'd he go, is $55. So not a big deal. I had to do the same thing on my other filter system, replace those all the time. And I paid way more than that for salt too, to lessen the hardness and all that fun stuff. The membranes, that's these guys here. That's what actually does the hardcore work of the reverse osmosis. There's 2 of those. I have to change those every 3 to 5 years. Kind of varies depending on how hard your water is, that type of stuff. Those are a little bit more expensive. Those are $330 a piece. So those are definitely a little more expensive, and that's why I did elect for the backwash, permeate wash, I think is what it's called. It is an upgrade, but then basically after the system's done running, it takes clean water out of the tank and flushes it over top of those membranes to keep them clean and to keep them running longer. So that is going to be a lot money savings in the end, in the long run. And then I also have to change this UV filter light bulb, whatever it is, once a year. That guy is $115. So annually, let's say I go through one 15-gallon thing of descalant, that's $50. The light bulb, $115, and then that big cartridge there, $55. So what am I at there? That's like $225 or so a year to run this in terms of materials and consumables. And then every 3 to 5 years is the big $600 to replace both of those membranes. So not too big of a deal, way cheaper than buying bottled water all the time. Let's actually do the math. We were going through 8 or 9 gallons of water a week just for drinking. That didn't include making any other water better. So we'll say 8 gallons a week times 52 weeks a year is $416 in just water we were paying just to drink. And then it was, or not, I'm sorry, 416 gallons we were drinking. And then I want to say it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 89 cents a gallon. So times 0.89, so $370. $370 in water every single year we are paying. And now it's going to cost me $220 in consumables. And that's going to filter everything in my house, not just my drinking water, so all of my cooking water and all that stuff. Plus, it's going to be way easier. So, my ice is going to take better. Right now, my ice is super salty, and my ice makers and stuff. So, I think this is going to be a good investment for our family, and it's definitely going to pay us back in the long run.